Proverbs 13 verse 1 to 24 through the Bible. Chapter 13. Part 1. We continue in this section where we are learning some of the great principles of life. A wise son heareth his father's instruction, but a scorner heareth not rebuke. Proverbs 13 verse 1. Although Solomon was not David's favorite son, Solomon did at least listen to him. He is an example of a wise son who heard his father's instruction. Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, is an example of the scorner who did not listen. He is an example to us of the dark side or the negative side, as we have found in many of these proverbs. But there are other examples that we could find in Scripture. A man shall eat good by the fruit of his mouth, but the soul of the transgressors shall eat violence. He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. Proverbs 13 verses 2 and 3. There is a type of talking today which is gossip. It is foolish talking. It borders on being risque, telling things that have a double meaning. The double entendre joke even gets into Christian circles today. And when they do, they seem to dwell on this matter of sex. I have noticed that many of these folk take courses on sex, and then later on I hear that their home was broken up. The husband has run away with another woman and all that sort of thing. I believe much of this trouble is a result of such borderline living and borderline speaking. That is the thing we are warned about here, and the young man is told to beware of it. The soul of the sluggard desireth, and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. Proverbs 13 verse 4. You will remember that the Apostle Paul put it right on the line to the Thessalonians. There were some pious souls there who said, "We're looking for the Lord to come," and they quit work. Paul wrote, "If any would not work, neither should he eat." 2 Thessalonians 3 verse 10. Let's not be doling out food to those who will not work. We are to work, and if you really believe that the Lord is coming, it will make you a better worker. A righteous man hateth lying, but a wicked man is loathsome, and cometh to shame. Righteousness keepeth him that is upright in the way, but wickedness overthroweth the sinner. Proverbs 13 verses 5 and 6. This refers to truth in the inward parts. This is the background of practical righteousness. God hates that which is false. He cannot tolerate it. The child of God should recognize and deal with any sin in his life. This old nature of ours is inclined to lie. It just comes naturally to us to lie. God says he hates that, and he will have to deal with that type of thing. There is that maketh himself rich, yet hath nothing. There is that maketh himself poor, yet hath great riches. Proverbs 13 verse 7. Here is another example of the old nature that we all have. If we are poor, we want to put up a front to keep up with the Joneses. We pretend to have more than we actually have. Some people drive a Cadillac automobile simply to impress other folk, even though they really can't afford it. Some live in a neighborhood they really cannot afford. On the other hand, there are people who are really very wealthy, but are always talking about how poor they are. A member in one of my former churches was a very wealthy man, but he probably gave less than anyone else. He was always talking about how high prices were and how much things cost him. And he would say he'd be broke if things didn't get better. Both sides are an abomination to God because each is hypocritical. It is putting up a front that we don't need to put up. We don't need to try to keep up with the Joneses. Neither ought we to act as if we don't even know the Joneses. We are to treat them as neighbors, and then we ought to be just what we are. The light of the righteous rejoiceth, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out. Proverbs 13 verse 9. In the study of the history of the kings of Israel, I called attention to this principle at work. One line after another became kings in the northern kingdom. Then, suddenly, they were cut off, often in a violent manner by murder. This is what God says. The lamp of the wicked shall be put out. It happens again and again in this world. The end of Hitler was not pretty, and the end of Stalin evidently was not either.